Why, hello, my friends. Good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday showing of Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and I am on my coffee break. Let's have a nice, noisy slurp right now. That's just good internet audio. I don't care who you are. All right. Today we have a fantastic guest to wrap up Shakespeare Month. She is a teacher, she is an actor, she is a graduate student, so she is a scholar in Shakespeare. The amazing, the talented, the brilliant Catherine Anne Gilbert is going to be here. So she is going to be our special guest today. This is an amazing month where we get to talk all about Shakespeare all the time. And I'm just so very happy and pleased as punch to be here with you. Of course, if at any point you feel like supporting the show, you certainly can. You can go to coffee.com/Shakespeare and buy me a cuppa, or become a Patreon of the arts at patreon.com/Shakespeare. And also support the show by supporting our sponsors. And they are Friends of the Colorado Northwestern Field Museum, the Shakespeare Yogi, and the Renaissance Stream Guide. But now let us bring in our guest. She is working on both her MLit and her MFA. She is entering into the MFA Ultimate Acting Ring. There was an ultimate fighting thing there somewhere, and I lost it. But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I believe you.
Oh, you believe? She believes me. You can hear her. Let's bring her in right now. Catherine Gilbert. Hey, Muppet Arms.
Oh, thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm sure the audience can hear you because I have you on the phone directly next to my microphone here, so they can hear you, and it might be.
Oh, fantastic.
You might even be louder than I am. I have no idea.
Gonna upstage you on your own podcast.
That is always the plan. That is always the plan. I'm hoping everybody at home is enjoying my very deep, my very raspy allergy voice. Hello, allergies are like, hey, Shakespeare, how you doing? Boom! It's too bad you talk for a living. Oh, Shakespeare! And I'm like, no, why are you doing this to me? All right. Anyway, Catherine Gilbert. Let's. All right. First off, I have to say, because otherwise, I'm probably just going to say your given name and your surname at all times.
That's fine.
But I have to ask, what do you prefer going by? Catherine, Kat, Kate, Bonnie, Kate, Wee Kate, prettiest Kate in all of Christendom. Do you go by Cassie, Cass, Mama Cass?
Kathy. That's a no. That's a no from me. I go by Kat with my students and my cohort members. Anyone that's like super, super close to me, like my mom, I go by Catherine with them.
All right. Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. I go by Kat with my students, and anyone who's super close to me, I'm Catherine. The closer we are to you, the more formal we will be.
The more distance I want.
All right, very good. You're like, all right. It's like, you don't know me. You get to pretend you're my friend. All right, cool.
Well, it all started when I started teaching pre-K because it was just easier to remember. And then it stuck.
Oh, my goodness.
And I feel more like a Kat than a Catherine.
All right. What about a Katerina? I have to ask that.
That's so funny that you said that. My aunt calls me that.
Yeah.
Just her, though. No one else.
No, all right. Well, I feel like I should just like glom in there, be like, I'm Shakespeare, and I wrote Katerina. But
you can call me whatever you so please.
All right.
You're on my shirt. You can call me whatever you want.
There you go. I am on her shirt. My face.
Big fan.
A version of my face is on her shirt. I have a version of my face on my shirt over there too.
That's not egotistic at all.
No, it's more narcissistic than egotistic. That's what that is.
I'm so sorry.
No.
That's exactly something a narcissist would say too.
It really is. Get it right. So, your journey with the Bard. Let's get into that because I met you doing a production with the Zenith Players, our dear friends that we share resources with.
That.
Yes, aren't they lovely? We were doing King Richard III, and you were Anne, and I was Richard. And I'm like, I just as TJ likes to say at the beginning of almost every show, many of the actors met each other 10 minutes before we turned the stream on. And that was the case. And I was just like, oh, hi. And then 35 minutes later, we have the Anne and Richard scene, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this gal is phenomenal. Like you made me go from really turn it on, going from, because I was the entire time just playing it like, oh hello, I'm such a Bond villain. Oh yes, and like, oh, all right, we got to do this. Okay, let's start acting. Okay. And I was flummoxed and it was brilliant. And I have to say, everybody I think has that moment where, hopefully several moments, where you see or you meet somebody who is one of the best that you've ever met in your life. And you're like, I'm capturing them at the beginning of this hopefully phenomenal career. So I hope that we expect great things from you. For he who gave you that scar on your forehead also did great magic. I mean, terrible, yes, but great. So that was a weird segue. But so I met you doing that, and then you came in and did one of my shows as Lavinia, where I gave you no lines.
One of my all-time favorite projects I've worked on. It was so fun.
I'm glad, because if we were doing it in person, I would have handed you a cat and smacked it out of your hand.
A cat for a cat. So
cat squared. So, but how did you get into this world of Shakespeare and decide that you want to get an MLit, so basically studying Shakespeare, and then also the MFA with all of it?
Yeah, so the story begins, I think I was 13, and I was a really angsty preteen, still am an angsty preteen in this body, as a 24-year-old, but my mom and my dad were like, well, she's given up on horseback riding, right? Because I was hoping to go to the Olympics with that. I got injured, I had to sell my horse, had to give up riding. So they were like, okay, well, she's got to do something. And I've never been good at sports. And I had just done like a musical. It was like, oh God, Schoolhouse Rock Junior or something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even remember. But my parents said it was amazing to watch me go from this wallflower, not talking to anybody, being very shy, being very anxious, to being exuberant and lively and happy and dancing and singing. And they were floored. So they researched like theater camps in Virginia, and the best one they found was at the American Shakespeare Center Theater Camp, which is also known as, the Blackfriars, which is in Stanton, which is where my grad school is. So it was full circle. And Mary Baldwin has a connection with the American Shakespeare Center. And I went, and the first day I was a wallflower. I didn't really talk to anybody. I kept to myself. And then later that day we had auditions, and I really wanted to be Juliet that summer. I think that's what it was. I really wanted to be Juliet.
And how old were you?
I was 13.
13. Oh my God, perfect age to be Juliet.
I hope I do before I am too old to. But so I did a Juliet monologue. I did the one where she's talking about like being afraid of waking up in the crypt and things being dark and scary and not knowing if anyone's going to come save her. And I fell to my knees, and I didn't know how to fall at that point safely. So I just full front on my knees, sobbing my eyes out. And that's when my lifelong best friend and my roommate now was like, oh, I want to be friends with her. I don't know why. And I got cast that day in The Winter's Tale as Leontes. And I was like, I don't know who that is. It's a boy. I don't want that. And then I got the script. And I was like, okay, I can work with this. Was off book, I think, 3 days later. Just so excited. And I got to do all these master classes with like the actors at the ASC, like Fight Combat and Levon and Suzuki and Viewpoints. And I was just in heaven, waking up every day at 8 a.m., taking these master classes and then having rehearsal at night and then going to bed and doing it all the next day. I was just the happiest I'd ever been.
So I have to ask, were you staying in the dormitories at Mary Baldwin, or were you going home?
Yep, we were staying in the dorms, which was a really cool experience because Mary Baldwin is a relatively old school,
Mm-hmm.
And like everything felt super creepy and haunted, and us being theater kids, we were just living.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, I too went to theater camp, and it was nothing like that. I grew up in an entirely different area, and so we did theater camp. It was day camp at community college, and so it was all day, and I had to take city buses to get there, which in transfers. And when you're 14 years old, and you've been on buses, school buses, sure, and like, oh, we're gonna ride the nice bus to go on this field trip. Okay, neat. But now it's like you got to ride city buses and do a transfer. It's like
at 14.
At 14, and it's just like, and on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I'm almost an adult. And on the other hand, my parents apparently either had great faith in me, or they were like, you know what, we have another kid, it's fine.
Ouch, ouch. I was an only child. They put all of their energy into this one.
Oh yeah, no. I have a sister, so it's like, you know what? She's probably gonna do better than him.
No,
That's fine.
I mean, I was adopted by my grandmother, so I have a biological sister, but I wasn't raised with one.
All right, yeah. No, I was not adopted. I was with the parents that I was reared by the parents what bore me, and it was like, all right, yeah, you're okay. But so yeah, we didn't do a lot of off book stuff. We actually focused more on the improvisational side of things.
Ooh,
yes,
something that scares me a lot.
So Shakespeare would scare me. How to an extent, because it's like, ooh, it's Shakespeare, and there's this mystery and that Susan je ne sais quoi around it of just like, it's a little scary and sexy and all that. However, getting improvisational training starting at 14 years old and then carrying that through to now, so what, 26 years later, that really, I want to say, served me in good stead of getting ready to not, let's say, fake it with Shakespeare, because it's very hard to fake it with Shakespeare. However, to just kind of go with it. I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, but here are these words, and let's just see what happens. And when I got to go and start doing some legit Shakespeare with actors later, you could tell who the other improvisers were. Because the people who are like, I'm just going to jump in and just say, sure, what the hell, let's go do. And not all of the classically trained actors were very stodgy or like, oh, what? But many of them were. It was like, no, you can't. You can't make that a contraction. And just like, well, I did. let's do it. That's an interesting take on that character. Why'd you do that? It's like, because I felt like a somersault was required as I was saying these lines.
I just felt it.
I felt it. But I would have loved to have had 1 year of an experience like yours. I auditioned for governor's school when I was going into my senior year of high school, and I was accepted, except that it cost a bunch of money. And I was accepted, but at the tier where you had to pay the bunch of money, and not at the tier where, oh, we'll give you a scholarship. It's just
yeah,
like,
I went to governor's school. I like you. I auditioned my senior year, and they do the thing. I don't know if they did it with you, but like they did the improv the 2 monologues, and I think there was something else, like an interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I did really well with the interview. I did really well with the monologues. The improv, they were like, oh no, oh dear God. But they score you, right? And
Yeah.
then they called my mom. I don't know why they don't. And they
Probably on a
already
form.
had the #1 audition in the state. We're gonna give her some money. And then my school was a private school, so they also gave me some money.
Oh,
and then
that
my parents paid the rest.
That's so nice. Yeah, no, I have no idea where I ranked for governor's school rankings. I do know that they called me back to tell me my audition was not good. I got called back.
What?
This is the
Why call you at all?
this is the
Why
only
did they call you at all?
this is the only time in my life I had ever been called. Well, it was the first time in my life I had received a true and genuine callback. Let's go do a callback, because I'm sitting in the hallway. So so round 1 was submit your video audition. So do a self tape, send it in. Round 2 was go physically audition at a local secondary school. All right, cool. We're in one of the drama classrooms, and we're sitting in the hall. All right, cool. And you're there all day, and they called me back in to tell me your audition wasn't very good. It's like,
oh no.
and I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, but it felt very like, here's what you can improve. Like, all right, we would like you to do better. However, they said, we like your energy. Your energy is weird, and we like it. And so we want you to do it again, but we're going to coach you through this. We're basically going to be giving you not line readings, but go this way, go this way, go this way at every point. It's like, okay, cool. So I did that, and like, okay, cool. You can take direction. Great. And it's like, all right, thank you. But I'm like, what? But it wasn't very good. I'm like, but
They could have just not said anything. They could have just not said anything, and like just were like, "Hey, we want to see what the kind of thing you can do." And then
yeah, we want to see if you can take
to work with. And he takes direction well.
Yeah, we want to see if you can take direction. Oh, all right. That's all you had to say. It wasn't very
As a
good.
theater practitioner and a teacher, I would never tell a young student that their audition was not good, ever.
It was not the first time that was told to me, though. I mean, I'm sorry. That was the first time. It was not the last time. The next time it was told to me was within the same calendrical year. Maybe a little bit, slightly over a year later. I was 18. I was at my very first job, which was working as an actor, which was amazing. My very first paying job out of high school was as an actor, and that was brilliant. I'm working in a little, resort community, and my boss calls me in. And he says, "All right, listen, you're not doing very good." And I said, "Oh," and he goes, "I don't want to fire you because I like you. You're gonna have to get a lot better." So one of my very good friends who helped me get that job just starts running the show with me. We would often work together because it was a 2-person show. We would often work together, and so she would run it with me every night until I was able to do her part, my part, run around in circles. By the halfway point of that summer, people, they're either calling in sick or they're taking vacation days or whatever. Even though it's a summer gig, you're going to go take a summer vacation. I'm like, wait, what? No, that's not what you do. So I go from 40-ish hours a week to 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 hours a week. So we were there open to close every day, she and I largely. And we're picking up all these shifts and doing just the show. You're supposed to do it 6 times a day. I'm doing it now 12 times a day. And so
how long was the show?
45 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, and we were open for 14 hours. So it's just like, all right, let's do this. And so I'm doing it sometimes 12 times a day. And there was nowhere to go but up. So but basically, it was just through sheer willpower. It was like, I'm willing myself to get good at this thing. And but I've been largely employed as an actor in the ever since. So that's yay for being told you're good.
Absolutely yay.
Yeah, but I think
absolutely.
it just proves that my career is built on spite.
You know what? If it gets you there, it gets you there.
But then there's your career where your best friend sees you fall to your knees and beat your chest and raise your arms to the heavens, and she says, I won't be friends with that person.
Weird girl, right?
Yeah, that's
super weird girl.
So
still is weird.
Excellent. So was she the one who was assisting you in my Titus Andronicus, for kids?
Yes, that is the girl.
Oh, she is
my best friend.
She's very weird. I like her. All right.
She's fantastic.
I need to get both of you in a project again. Now, let's talk, enough about me and that weird, long, sad story of spite.
I loved it. I loved every second.
So you're 13 years old. You want to be Julia. Instead, you get cast in Winter's Tale. You're off book in 3 days. That's phenomenal and amazing. That is some professional caliber level stuff right there. Where do you go from there?
I went down for a little while.
That's how we do.
Down in terms of, my mental health and that kind of stuff. So a lot of the time I was spending my time alone at home with the Shakespeare canon my parents bought me for Christmas. Reading play after play, sonnet after sonnet every night, out by the pool in the sun during when it was warm. And at the end of the school year, I ended up developing a really potent eating disorder.
Oh God.
And oh gosh, when was it? No, it was started in spring, because I remember it was warm and I was always wearing jackets and stuff, and nobody really realized how sick I was until I had dropped 30 pounds and my dad caught me outside eating Splenda, and that my parents were like, that's not normal, let's get this girl help. So the doctor told me that if I couldn't gain some weight and prove that I was trying, they would have to inpatient me, and that's my biggest nightmare. So they were like, and that means camp, and I was like, oh, I gotta go back to camp, that's where I'm happy. So I started, working on putting on some more weight, and with the help of my amazing mother, and I went back to camp, still not being in the best state. And in retrospect, I don't know if I would send my daughter at that time. But at camp, when you're going from 8 to 7 p.m., I was eating and not thinking about it. I was just able to eat, talk with my friends, and I was rooming with my best friend that year. So she took really good care of me, and I just, became healthier and healthier and healthier. And it's still something I struggle with, but it's something that has also made me more informed on my art. I read the entire canon in a school year, on my own, very much alone. So I went back to camp, and they were doing, oh gosh, it's right at the tip of my tongue, Galatea, by Lily, yeah. And I got cast as the goddess Diana, and I was like, okay, your girl still got it. And I had been doing stuff throughout the school year, but like I said, I went to a private high school. They didn't do a lot in way of shows. There was one show a year, and every other year it was a musical. And the years that it was a musical, I was still on audition, but I would put that I didn't want to lead role because I have stage fright when it comes to singing. But I can walk around on stage in a bikini, don't care. But when it comes to singing, I would rather die.
Yeah, I
would rather die than sing alone. So I was always in the chorus. I was cast as the Undertaker's wife in, Oliver, things like that. So I wasn't really feeling fulfilled, and that was a musical year. And then the next year, I auditioned and I got the role of Antigone in Antigone. And so I was like, okay, so this is something I want to be doing year round. You know, summers I do camp, school years I do, you know, the straight play if it's a straight play, and not the years that they're doing musicals anymore. So then I picked up community theater, and there was an awesome community theater near where I live. They are no longer in business, sadly. I think they've transformed into another company, but I ended up doing first shows with them school year, and they only did straight plays. And I was like, this is my heaven. So, you know, that company director was also amazing, and she was helping me through my eating disorder as well, because she had one when she was younger. So I had all this support and all of this love and all of this, you know, people around me that like saw something in me that they wanted to foster. But I didn't see it in myself until years later. I just thought it was fun. I didn't understand why people kept casting me. I was just at my happiest when I was not myself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's my therapy. Like, you're able to take yourself and put your brain away for a little while.
Yeah.
And then come back to it with a new perspective. So when I auditioned and when I was in the shows, I just turned off my brain. So I would leave the stage and I'd be like, I don't know what I just did. Who knows? And then I would get told things like, oh, you dropped a line. Oh, where was your prop? I was like, oh, did I? That's weird. I don't remember that. And I think that goes to say, like, you know, some of the most beautiful art comes out of some of the darkest places. And I realized that when I got into governor's school, the monologue I did was very, very dark. It was from Volpone. And it was just really dark. And I just was like, oh, this is my wheelhouse. I am really good at being sad. But throughout the years, I've gotten cast in some really fun comedic roles, like Snug in Midsummer. Just things that like bolstered my confidence in the range of my skills. Because I got cast as Snug, and I was like, what the heck? I thought about denying the role. And I knew that looks bad, you know, that looks unprofessional. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it. And I did it. And it is to this day one of my favorite roles I've ever played in my life. Because it's just unabashed fun. It's like what I see with my students. You know, they don't think about what they're doing like they're little. My middle schoolers tend to overthink things a little bit more. But it's just unabashed. They're just there. They're ready to do whatever you say, roll around on the floor, you know, speak in silly voices, make chicken noises, like the whole gambit. So I just let myself go of this serious actor that I thought I was. And really embraced the comedy and really enjoyed it. And then I was cast my first professional role, second professional role, the one that really meant the most to me, was with Chesapeake Shakespeare Company. And I got cast as Moat, or Moth. And just, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm on my way up. Like, my first real professional gig that I can pay my rent with.
Yep.
Here we go. And then it just kept going up from there. I was getting professional gig after professional gig. And then COVID hit. And then I had to sit down with my mom, and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I don't know how I can be a teacher and I can be an actor. And both of those things are not available to me right now. So she was like, you should really apply to grad school. So I applied to only two, and both were in Virginia because I wanted to be close with my mom. And I got into both. But one school was much cheaper than the other. And it was closer to home. And I had a lot of nostalgia with the place. And that place was Mary Baldwin. They offered me a nice scholarship. And I felt safe there. Like, the other one was in D.C. and I was not comfortable in D.C., especially with, like, you know, going through a lot of stuff. I wanted to be closer to home. So I chose Mary Baldwin and am doing their M.Lit track into their, hopefully into their MFA track. You have to audition for the MFA. But, yeah, so I just got done with my semester. The semester closed with me in a production of Richard III.
Ha! And who are you?
Richard III.
Oh, very nice. So you got to play it from the opposite point of view now.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
And how Bond villainy did you go?
Oh, we went full film noir.
Oh.
It was very, like, sexy and we had a sword cane for Richard, and it was really cool because they had 4 completely different actors playing Richard III. So I was Richard III for the first hour, and I was Richard the Wooer, and then there was Richard the Protector, Richard the Player, and Richard the Warrior.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, so it was me and then 2 awesome actors that are cohort members of mine that are a little bit older than me, and they have a completely different look and vibe, which is awesome, and they made it their own. We all did. And then the last one was a guy, and he's a certified stage combatant, amazing when it comes to stage combat. So there was 4 of us, and we were working together to make sure that we could make it a cohesive thing.
Yeah, right? That you could see elements of the same character in each portrayal. Exactly.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. And that same semester, I had been dealing with a double concussion and mono at the same time. So I lost 2 weeks of rehearsal. So they didn't have me. So they couldn't really run Act 1 at all.
Oh.
So when I got back, my cohort members are amazing because they were giving up their time to meet with me one-on-one. The same with my professors. They really stuck by me and made sure that I could perform. I had to take out a lot of stage combat that I was going to do because with mono you can't fall on your liver.
Nope.
Because it will explode.
Yeah, I had mono when I was supposed to be in a fight show in the year of our Lord 2006, and I was supposed to go off of I was supposed to do a 3rd story fall, so falling 30 feet, hit the crash pad, roll off. And it was a fun, amazing thing. And 2 days after the first rehearsal for that show, I was diagnosed with mono, and they said, "Yep, you can't do that anymore because
you can't do that.
Your liver might explode." It's like, oh, okay. They changed my sword fight into, I pull my sword and I go, ha ha! And then the other guy does this crazy pirouette with Moulinet. Like he's flying through the air like a dervish, comes down, puts me on point. I drop the sword and I say, I quit. And I leave. That became the sword. So it was very funny. It's just, okay. It's like, what can we do? Not most of it. Let's leave.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. It was, I mean, it was what it was. I was working at a Renaissance festival, and my then girlfriend, now wife, was tasked because she was in a volunteer acting company. I was in the paid professional company. She was tasked to only let me go to the stage show times that I had to be at, and then make certain that I would go back to my living area and lay down. And it's just like,
that's a good girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And she's just like, all right, cool. And she'd be there. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, you walked out looking great. Your hair was good. And then you did 20 minutes on stage and you're drenched with sweat.
Just dripping.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, oh okay. No, this isn't fun. Go back. So,
yeah, mono is no joke.
No, and
mono is very scary.
And you live with chronic fatigue syndrome the rest of your life. I mean, sometimes are better than others, and it will just sneak up on you random times. Like you get a flu, all of a sudden, the flu that you normally get over in 5-6 days. Oh, it's taken a good month to get over it. It's like, oh. And that's what I thought I had. I thought with mono, I had the flu that just wouldn't go away. And that's what everybody thought for a while.
When did you get diagnosed? How long had you been sick before you got diagnosed?
3 months. So,
oh my gosh.
So I was doing 30-foot falls for a month or two. I was doing sword fights.
So lucky.
I was doing sword fights and rolling and all of this stuff. It's just I was getting tired so fast and easy. And then my fever would spike up. And it's like, all right, I'm going to go lay down for a day or two. And then I'd be fine.
I think that's what happened to me, too. I don't know how long I had it. I just knew that I was throwing up 9 or 10 times a day. Couldn't hold anything down. I was sweating. And I kept going to the walk-in clinic. And they were like, we're sorry, like, we don't know what's going on. Like, my heart is being affected because I have a small heart problem that's just chronic and I live with it. And they were like, yeah, your blood pressure is really high and your pulse is really high and you're sweating and you have a slight fever and you look horrible. But we don't know what's wrong.
But they never did. They never did blood work on you.
At the emergency clinic, no, they did. They did zero blood work, none, no blood work at all.
Yeah. So for me at the time, so a walk-in wasn't an option. I had to go to the actual ER eventually, because my fever was at 104 for about a day, and it's like, all right. So my best friend drives me to hospital, and they do blood work on me, and they're like, yeah, you got mono.
Well, even when I did my blood work, they didn't know for a little while. So, like, I had been living with this thing, right? I've been living with mono for I don't know how long, because I was doing Three Sisters through my university as well, and I wore a corset for that, and I was like miserable because it was pressing on everything, like my stomach, my liver, and I was throwing up whenever I had the chance. I was getting off stage, and I was getting so sick, and then I fell, and my mom found me on the floor, and she was like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you need to go to the doctor. And I was like, no, I need to go back to grad school. So I drove back to grad school. I don't remember the drive. And I'm there for a day. I went to 2 classes, vomiting between everyone, like every single moment I could, every break in between classes, before class, after class. And I went back home and I tried making myself ramen and burnt I was wearing a crop top and I had burnt my stomach and my fingers cooking and I didn't feel it. It was so weird. And then I failed at making ramen. So I started walking downstairs to my room and I fell down half a flight of stairs and my best friend found me on the floor. So the next day, my mom is a saint. She came and got me and we're driving in the car and I just have a bucket and a towel over my head. And I briefly took the towel off my head and I look and there's a dog in the road. And I'm like, stop the car, stop being sick. I grab the dog and I follow the sound of its owner calling for it. And I ran to the owner and the owner was like, is there anything I can do? And I was like, nope. And I ran back down. I threw up again. So it started getting worse.
I thought you were about to say, I saw a dog in the road and there was no dog. No.
There was never a dog.
There is no spoon.
There was never a dog. My mom saw the dog.
Okay, good.
But yeah, no, my mom was like, all right, enough is enough. This is stupid. You're going to the emergency room. And I was like, I don't want to. And then my mom took me to the ER and they took my vitals and they were like, this is all out of whack. And then they had me do like a urine test and they were like, your liver is not working right. You have like really messed up liver enzymes. And I was like, what does it all mean? And they were like, we don't know yet. And I was like, what? How can you not know? That's your job. But eventually, the doctor looked at the blood work and was like, yeah, you have mono.
Yeah.
Go home. Go home and drink lots of fluids.
Oh my God.
And so I was home for 2 weeks and then I went back to class.
Yeah, that was, I mean, a little bit less drama aside, that was...
my life is all drama.
Yeah,
it's all drama.
That was mine. It was my at the time girlfriend came, picked me up. I stayed at her house with her and her parents. I just slept in her bed for a week, maybe 2. I was out for most of it, and then I would get up, go to the bathroom, come back, drink something, go back to sleep. I was the thinnest I've been in the last 15 years. And I'm like, oh, look how thin I am. And no. there was about 9 minutes where it's like, oh wow, look at you. And then it just kept going. And it's like, oh, okay, no, that's bad. And then
I wish I had that problem. I didn't really lose that much weight.
Oh, I lost
because I had previously had an eating disorder, and my body was like, oh, we know how to maintain this. This is no big deal.
For me, it was. Have you seen The Devil Wears Prada?
Yes.
I'm just one good stomach flu away from my ideal goal weight. It was that, but
such
I went.
A toxic way of thinking.
I know, right? I went well below my ideal goal weight. and so I was looking emaciated. And then
And yellow. Were you yellow?
Yeah.
Were you jaundiced
I was so jaundiced.
I was jaundiced, and my eyes were like so red.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
My eyes were simultaneously yellow and bloodshot. And it's just it's like, what is happening? And I'm like, I'm still like, I'm gonna go do my show, because that's what I do. And I go do my show. And it's a thing. And I would be drenched in sweat 20 minutes later.
My professor at Mary Ball, I was talking with him before I went back to rehearsal, because they wanted to make sure with my concussions that I could, learn my lines. And, having one concussion and then falling down the stairs and getting another one, and then getting into a car wreck, trying to drive to a hospital on my own.
Oh, my.
But they were like, maybe you shouldn't come back to school. And I was like, no, I'm coming back. But my professor told me, and he's a very smart, very funny Welshman, told me that he went to the doctor, got diagnosed with mono, and then immediately went to the bar, and he said, well, it's great because you get drunk faster. And I was like, you're not supposed to drink, your liver's broken. Don't do that. Your liver machine's broken, go home and stay home.
Fun fact. When you're actively sick with mono, you can get drunk on cough syrup.
Good to know for any kids out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't try that.
Don't do it. I'm not suggesting
you do.
I'm not suggesting you do this, but I'm saying if you want the non-toxic way of doing it, it's just like,
cough syrup is still toxic.
Oh, well, only if
cough syrup is still toxic.
You take your little cup of Robitussin or whatever, and then you go.
Well, they've taken codeine out of cough syrup now,
yeah.
right?
No. They've taken most of it. You have to get a doctor's prescription for the codeine one. No, and mine was just, all right, here's, just go to the pharmacy, get the shelf brand. And I wasn't getting it to be drunk. It was more of like, that's a fun side effect.
Yeah.
That's a fun side effect. Okay. And then I'd go to sleep. It was grand.
You go to sleep. You go to sleep for a long time. If you take too much, you'll go to sleep forever.
Oh, yeah. So don't do that. Don't do that, kids.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't make most of the decisions you've heard Catherine Anne Gilbert and your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare talk about the last several minutes.
You want an example of what not to do?
So
I'll be your example of what not to do.
So this is called Bad Idea Theater, kiddies. All right, so we're going to pause for just a moment to pay some bills. We're learning all about Catherine Anne Gilbert's passion for doing this line of work, because you're seeing what she's going through, and she's like, I'm still doing this. I'm staying here. So we'll be back with her in just about 2 minutes, but we're going to come and pay some bills. So, friends, today's show is brought to you by some wonderful people, specifically the Friends of the Colorado Northwestern Field Museum, now accepting applications for summer 2021 dinosaur digs. So, while many people only dream of taking part in a dinosaur excavation, through Colorado Northwestern Community College, that dream can become a reality. Located in the heart of dinosaur country, CNCC offers you the chance to work alongside professional paleontologists to uncover fossils that have been buried for over 74 million years. During a 2-week session, you'll learn about paleontology by digging, brushing, and uncovering a unique fossilized specimen. There is no experience required to take advantage of this amazing opportunity, only a passion for experiencing fossils up close and personal. Participants also have the option to earn college credit during this 2-week session. For more information, please email Elizabeth Johnson at elizabeth.johnson@cncc.edu or call 970-824-1119 for more information. And go to that link that was on your screen. I'm going to put this right now into the comment section so you can click on it. What will you discover this summer? Today's show is also brought to you by the Shakespeare Yogi. The Shakespeare Yogi, Leonard Chilingarian, helps creatives develop authentic connection to balance and character by combining yoga with Shakespeare, accessibly and playfully. Virtual pay-what-you-can classes are available over Zoom on the first and third Sundays of the month at 1 p.m. Recommended $5 donation. All creatives of any kind are welcome. Virtual private lessons are also available by appointment. Private lessons are built to the individual needs and goals of the individual creative. Virtual private lessons are valued around $50, and you can use my code Shakes.approved for a 50% discount. For access and more information, I want you to email Lena, the Shakespeare Yogi, at theshakespeareyogi@gmail.com, or drop into her DMs on Instagram at The Shakespeare Yogi. The Shakespeare Yogi, hey, noni namaste. Speaking of the Shakespeare Yogi, make sure that you tune in today at 3 p.m. for the inaugural episode of The Shakespeare Yogi. Lana Chilingarian will be taking you through a guided yoga session where you take a monologue from Shakespeare and then you put yoga movement with it to explore that character further. 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com/ShakespeareApproves and YouTube.com/ShakespeareApproves. Hey, noni namaste. And finally, the Renaissance Stream Guide, your TV guide of online Renaissance festival entertainment with over 70 streams every week, live music, belly dancing, play readings, yoga, fitness classes, comedy, art streams, demos, and more. Find out what your favorites have been doing and discover someone new. Like and subscribe to them. Facebook.com/Renaissance Stream Guide. Thank you to all of our sponsors for sponsoring the show, and you can support the show by supporting our sponsors. And if you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the show yourself, you can send me an email to Shakespeare@ShakespeareApproves.com. New sponsors are coming up in May, including some old favorites. So continue watching. We're going to have a great time. But also, let's come back to our special guest, Catherine Anne Gilbert. She is a teacher, an actor, a scholar of Shakespeare. Muppet Arms, yes. So, you are obviously willing to go to great extremes in order to continue your work with Shakespeare and theatre. You've combated eating disorder and faced down the threat of not being able to go back to summer Shakespeare camp. Like, nope, you can't go. Oh, all right, I'll do it.
Can't take that away from me.
Nope, all right, I'll be good. I'll be good. You've come back from a double concussion and mono and all the rest in order to do graduate work and perform in Richard III, very cool sounding version from the sound of it. So
I can send you the footage.
I would love to see it. Absolutely.
They videotaped it.
Ooh, excellent. Probably didn't videotape it. Probably put it onto a video card. But we just say videotape anymore. What? I'm being sassy. Don't give me that look.
No, you're right. I don't even think they put it on a videotape. I think they Facebook streamed it.
Oh, see, there you go. I mean, it's just like, we just say tape.
You do what you have to do these days.
We just say tape. We just say film. We mean neither of those things anymore.
It's in the common vernacular.
It is. It really is. So, Catherine Anne Gilbert, you also teach, and so talk about teaching Shakespeare to young people.
Yeah, so my teaching career started my sophomore year of college and undergrad, and I was working for an after-school program, working with like sixth graders, and they didn't really do Shakespeare like courses, but I tried to weave it into everything I did. So in every class I've ever taught, I have had at least half a lesson plan or a whole lesson plan dedicated to Shakespeare. And with the older kids, it was like, you're probably learning this in your classrooms right now, or you're going to. This is how you scan iambic pentameter, like a regular iambic line. And then having them, read some monologues out loud and kind of walking around talking, like saying the monologue out loud, and then having them, if they wanted to, go up and present what they had found. I really loved that. And then I was teaching kindergarten. And I was like, I have nothing for you. So then I was teaching pre-K, and I was like, this is babysitting. I loved my students. It was a blast, but it was not what I wanted. So then I graduated undergrad. And I started teaching with 3 other teaching companies at the same time, trying to, rent and working as a professional actor at the same time. Because, rent and living in DC/Silver Spring, Maryland is tough. The rent is not cheap. So trying to make ends meet as much as I could. My mother was helping me out a lot. Most of it was mostly her. But so I started working with this program, and I don't know if I can just share their name. So I started working with them, and they put me with middle school going into high school. So they were on the older end of the spectrum, and I was like, oh ho ho, here we go. So my first year with them, I was teaching at least 3 Shakespeare master classes in our program, which was a semester long. And then, they make a showcase, or we write a play, or they pick the play that they want to do. And they never wanted to do Shakespeare, so they never did Shakespeare. But I built in at least three long classes. I'm talking 3-hour-long periods of Shakespeare classes. And a lot of the time, you say Shakespeare and you get they're not looking forward to it. They're intimidated by it. So I did a lot of play. It was a lot of playing, teaching them iambic pentameter, having them clap it out on the ground, just having fun with it. And then I got to direct a full-length production of Midsummer. I'm talking no cuts, auditions, callbacks, the whole 9 yards. So we did Midsummer, and I wanted their feedback, and I was like, where do you want to set this? What are we, where are we? What's the background? And they were all like, Woodstock. I was like, how the heck do you know about Woodstock? And we were going to present it to other middle schoolers and high schoolers, and I was like, what if we do Coachella? And they were like, oh, that's even better. And I'm like, okay, great. Woodstock, there's a lot of a lot of that, and I'm sure there's a lot of that at Coachella too.
Oh, there is. There is.
So we set it at Coachella, and it was Titania and Oberon were the headliners, and we created a whole plot. The Rubicanicals were the roadies, and they were off book, blocked, ready to go, and COVID hit. And they never got to perform it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Right, so that program hired me on, and I was doing other classes at this time, but that was with pre-K and then 1 first grade class, and those were mainly, reading the stories out loud and having them act it out with their bodies, right? Because the pre-Kers and the Kers can't read. Mm-hmm. So with my first grade class, I was doing reading comprehension, reading them a story, asking them what they remembered, what the plot was, and then having them rebuild the story with their bodies. And a lot of the time I was taking Shakespeare text and condensing it into a small blurb, and making it accessible. The plays that would be accessible, right? Midsummer and Midsummer. But yeah, so I hope to teach a lot more Shakespeare in the future, which is something that the MLit would really help me with. The other college program I auditioned with, it was a 1-year MFA program, and it's a fantastic program. But with my MLit, I think I would be more accessible, for teaching, and I would get my teaching certificate if I did choose to go that route. Excellent. My heart will always be wanting to be a classical actor, but my mother would much rather I taught. And the reason why I'm getting my degree at all is not because I don't believe in my capabilities as an actor. It's security, and my dad, before he passed, made me promise I would get my master's, so here I am. And I made sure I went somewhere I loved, right? I love Stanton, I love my cohort, I love my teachers. I don't think I would want to be anywhere else.
All right. I mean, and also having the experience of being an actor in this field for a while now, having that degree is at the very least fun bragging points. I'm like, oh well, I have a master's degree in this. It's and everybody else to varying levels of sincerity will go, ooh, and some people it's just oh, I'm just being sassy, ooh, and other people are like, oh no, really, you sit here and let's go through and pass this. The one company I did work with back when in my 20s, they would virtually always hire someone with a master's to be the dramaturg. Not to like, oh, you are the actor or you're the director, but we want someone to come in and dramaturg this and make it for the program blurb, but then also to sit with the actors, because a lot of times dramaturgs don't get any connection with the actors, with the production staff at all. And they would sit here and they would often be another part of the company. It's like, all right, you are the dramaturg and then you're also in it, or you're the assistant director or stage manager sometimes. And that was, I thought, phenomenal, of having someone with that level of specific education on this in order to bring it in. And I thought it was a brilliant practical way of using a master's degree in either literature or Shakespeare, because sometimes it was, yeah, I thought that's beautifully practical. And so there's that. But then the next part is, you say your heart still forever will go with wanting to be that classical actor.
Yep.
Why not both? You could be at a major. You could come in.
The goal.
You could come in as a teaching artist.
During the day and rehearse at night or something. Like
it happens.
You know, because like
happens all the time.
Community theater you can do, but
yeah, but
professional theater is hard.
Well, also companies in DC, in Philadelphia, or in your more major metropolitan areas, and then also where you're currently studying now. If you were to become a part of that core company with American Shakespeare,
that's my dream.
You could
that's all I've wanted.
You could theoretically teach across the street at Mary Baldwin, and then time to go do a show.
Yeah, I think you need your PhD to be a college professor, though.
I mean, different schools have different rules. I mean, to technically be called professor, yeah, you need a PhD. But most schools now, I mean, and this has changed hugely from when I first entered the game. Most of the teachers, I mean, most professors, I should say, are either tenured track or tenured with PhDs, or in some cases where PhD wasn't necessary. It's like, you're the masters. It's like, all right, there you go. And then that has changed completely to adjuncts and graduate students and, well, just master's degree people. So you are the working professional with the active experience, with the active practical experience, which for my money, in many ways is better, because you're not just in the ivory tower of academia, you are also putting it into practical application. And I think that is brilliant. I mean, I do not have a degree in this. I left school after my third year. I'm saying, like, all right, because I was getting work all the time, and it was like, hey, I'm getting work that's paying my bills. And I had a long sit-down conversation with my parents, and they made me promise that I would eventually finish. We did not put a time. We did not put a timestamp on that. So,
I mean, I had the same conversation with my parents, and both of my parents had master's degrees in very different things. Like, my mom has 2 master's degrees, and she's a chemical and biological warfare engineer for the Department of Defense. And then my dad got a master's. So this is grandmother, mom, and her husband, dad. My dad got a master's in engineering, and he built machinery for the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, all of them.
I have to say, your mother scares me. Your mother sounds like a scary, scary person. She's like, oh,
she's like 5'0", and like, she's so cute, but then she's also like,
she has
really intimidating.
She has a scary brain. That's all I'm going to say. Is of like, don't make her angry. Otherwise, don't make her angry. That's how we get Ultron. Do you want Ultron, lords and ladies?
She's a Spitfire.
No, that's how we get Ultron. That's how Skynet happens. You piss her off. No, don't do that.
She is the absolute best. She is the best at what she does. Like, there's no one that can. She can't retire because there's no one that can take her place. Like, I'm not gonna say her age,
that's brilliant. You know, that's brilliant. I love it.
She's scary, but I love her to
That's my goal with this. Of I will never be able to retire because there's no one else who kind of does my random bull. So all right. So all right. We are now technically over time. So lightning round. Favorite sonnet.
So much. Sorry.
No. We both do, and this is brilliant. So you're gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to have more conversations on this. So, favorite sonnet.
Favorite sonnet. Oh God, I used one for I think it's like the ESL, the Shakespeare competition. And I used Sonnet 114.
Oh, then let us hear it. Sonnet 114 with Catherine Anne Gilbert. She rolls her eyes at Shakespeare because she's like, Shakespeare, you didn't tell me we were going to do this. It's just like, no.
You're going to make me do this anymore?
You can say no. You can technically say no. Like, I don't want to do this.
I'll say part of it. I'll say part of it.
All right, let's go.
Let me see if I can remember it. Or whether doth my mind, being crowned with you, drink up the monarch's plague, this flattery. Or whether shall I say mine eye saith true, and that your love taught it this alchemy, to make of monsters and things indigest such cherubins as your sweet self resemble, creating every bad a perfect base, as fast as objects to his beings assemble, I think, and then I don't remember the rest.
All right. Well done. Well done.
I give it my best shot.
Well done. Excellent. All right.
If you had told me, I would have prepared better.
Favorite.
You're gonna say monologue now, aren't you?
Monologue and or character and or play.
My favorite play is Antony and Cleopatra.
Oh,
my favorite character would probably be either Queen Margaret in Henry VI Part 3 and Richard III, or Cleopatra. I like smart women. I like smart women that like stand their ground. I like that energy. One of my dream roles was always to play Lady Anne. I would love to do it on my feet someday.
Yeah.
The woman that played Lady Anne in our production was just unbeatable. She's just gorgeous. It was a gorgeous performance. Favorite monologue would probably be, it's the same monologue I used to get into governor's school, used to get into undergrad, and used to get into grad school. And that's Hermione's trial monologue.
Hermione. Oh. Would you give us a taste of it right now?
Oh gosh. Let me figure out how it starts. My brain is like shutting down. Oh God, hang on. I'm looking up the first line.
That's fine.
Since what I am to say must be but that which contradicts my accusation, and the testimony on my part none other but what comes from myself, it shall scarce boot me to say not guilty. Mine integrity, being counted falsehood, shall as I express it be so received. But thus, if powers divine behold our human actions as they do, I doubt not then, but innocence shall make false accusation blush, and tyranny tremble at patience. You, my lord, best know, who least will seem to do so, my past life has been as continent, as chaste, as true as I am now unhappy. And then it goes on for a while.
Oh yeah, but that is acting, lords and ladies, just bringing it. Goodness gracious, we have Catherine Anne Gilbert.
She may need the first 5 words of the monologue she's used over 50 times, but she'll get there in the end. I'm gonna blame it on the concussion.
Do it. Blame it on the concussion.
It's the concussion.
Which one, first or second? I blame the second one. There we go. Oh, good. Yeah, she is Catherine Anne Gilbert, a brilliant actor for you to look out for in the coming years. Or a potential teacher for you, for your nippers, in days to come. It's like, oh, they could learn from Catherine Gilbert. Let them. Yes, sign them up. It's going to be brilliant. She is someone you want to look for in the next several years. It's gonna be lit. Emily.
Hey, I might be headed your way. I'm looking.
Do it.
Looking at Philadelphia.
I'm not in Philly. I'm much farther north. I am in.
Dang, where are you?
I'm in upstate New York with crappy internet.
What are you doing there?
Well, fun story. Long story short, we made decisions, and now we're living with them. All right.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to look at upstate New York then.
Yeah. It's.
I gotta follow Shakespeare wherever he goes. The real story is I've always wanted to do a Ren Fest, and I've never gotten a chance.
Oh well, absolutely. We'll talk after real quick. But
ring a ding.
Excellent. So, friends, that is what we have here today. We went a bit long, but that's all right. Here on it's okay. Don't worry about it. We went a bit long here on Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am, of course, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. Let's have one last noisy slurp right now. Just good internet audio.
Noise.
Just good internet audio. I don't care who you are. Right. Now, friends, if you've enjoyed the show half as much as I enjoy making it, I obviously enjoy it twice as much as you do, and that's called maths. And that's whatever you feel the show is worth. A 1, a 5, a 10. For a 50, I will come and do my favorite monologue for you in your front garden. Throw it into my hat. And by hat, I mean buy me a cup of coffee. Go to coffee.com/Shakespeare. That's ko-fi.com/Shakespeare and buy me a cuppa. Or consider becoming a Patreon of the arts at patreon.com/Shakespeare. That's patreon.com/Shakespeare. Tiers start at $3 and go all the way up to $30. And right now, all the tiers get the same rewards because I want everyone, while money is tight, to get the same level of funny and weird. Rewards include scripts that I've written for the social distancing players over the last year. You get digital editions of my comic book, Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins, and my album, Are You There, God? It's me, Shakespeare. We do random hangouts and all sorts of other fun things. Upcoming events include next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Shakespeare's Coffee Break. We're back again, 10:35 a.m. Go like and subscribe to Shakespeare's Coffee Break on Facebook. Writing Sonnets with Shakespeare. We have 2 episodes tomorrow. First one at 9 a.m. on twitch.tv/nat21adventures. And then at 10:35 a.m. on Facebook at Shakespeare Approves and youtube.com/Shakespeare Approves. And then tomorrow evening, Thursday night at 5:35, we have Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour, where we will make toasts, sing songs, tell terrible jokes, talk about our favorite dinosaurs, and all sorts of things. Maybe someone has a cool rock that they want to show. I don't know. It's going to be grand. Also, where can you see next in person? In Texas at the Scarborough Renaissance Festival, May 22nd through 31st. I'm there for the final 2 weekends, which means 5 festival days. So join me May 22nd through 31st. That is Memorial Day Monday. And then also the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. It is a 2-weekend show this year. I'll be there for weekend 2. Half the run, I know. So June 5th and 6th. So Scarborough, May 22nd through 31st in Waxahachie, Texas. And then New Jersey Renaissance Fair in Bordentown, New Jersey, June 5 and 6. But friends, that's basically it today. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. I've enjoyed myself. Once again, special thanks to our special guest, Catherine Anne Gilbert. Yay! And thank you so very much, my friends. I love you. You love me. There's mutual glorious affection. See you tomorrow for Writing Sonnets with Shakespeare. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. 1 second.